Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 411, The Prodigal Son. The Gospel of Luke. What is the prodigal son? I'm sure everybody's heard the story at least once, but I'd like to go over it and just think about, what it means. A little meditation. So, the prodigal son, Gospel of Luke. There's two sons living with their father, and there's a younger son and an older son. The younger son realizes, hey, I want to take all my inheritance, all like my wealth, everything that my father's going to give me, and go out into this world. And I don't want to work with my father anymore. And the older son stays on, on the plantation or whatever it is, on the farm, and works with his father. And so the younger son goes out. And what does he do with all the spoils that he gets from his father, the inheritance? Well, he blows it on like fast cars, loose women, living the secular utopian life, going out and like essentially pursuing hedonism. That's what he does. And he realizes, he ends up, by the way, he ends up in a ditch. And he ends up being the feeder of pigs, which is the lowest of all Jewish jobs out there. And he realizes once he gets into this ditch and in this really bad place, he realizes perhaps I should make amends with my father, go back to my father. I might have it better there, right? Anyway, so that's what he does. And so he goes back to his father, and his father is just so excited to see him, even though he spoiled all the money he gave him, he lost the entire inheritance, and he did horrible things. His father's really happy to see him, and he puts a ring on his finger. Which, what does the ring symbolize? That's the wedding ring, essentially, meaning that he's repairing the relationship of father and son, and they're making a good healed relationship, or a right relationship directed toward God with the ring. And then he slaughters the fatted calf for him and his buddies, throws a party. And then the older son, by the way, what does the older son do? Now he gets mad because the younger son went out and explored the world. He blew the inheritance, that wasn't loyal to his father, had all this fun. Then he comes back and he throws a big party for him. And the older son's like, hey, listen, I've been doing all this work for you, and you've never killed me, the fatted calf. So what the heck? Why did my brother get this? Well, so now let's think about it. Is this a really story about a man and two sons? And the answer is no. This is a story about the Almighty God and the discipleship and the sonship that we have as loyal Christians. So, so the younger son. Let's think about this for a second. He wanted all the goodness that God can give us, like his inheritance. He wanted all the money and like everything, the bounty that God could provide for us, with none of the responsibility. Right? He wanted the pleasurable side of what God gives, but not the responsibility side that God gives. And so, what does that amount to? That amounts to essentially living a hedonistic life with no responsibility toward God the Father. Like this son wanted to go out and have all the joy and the pleasure of God's creation, but none of the responsibility. So how does this translate into the life of the average typical person in the world today, or the Catholic? It's so let's break it down to a young man, right? Young man, like let's say he's running around the world and he sees a bunch of women he likes and he wants to be with them, right? He wants the pleasure of a woman, but he doesn't want the responsibility of the marriage. Or once you're in a marriage, if you decide to contracept, which is a grave and mortal evil, by the way, which can send you to hell if you die with it on your soul, like you contracept, you want the pleasure of a woman in the marital relationship, but without the responsibility of a child. Okay, it's the same thing. Also, if you decide for an abortion, is you want the pleasure of the conjugal act without the responsibility of the child thereafter, right? So you want all the pleasures of the world, right? You want all but you don't want any of the responsibility of it. Another analogy would be this: like a businessman that's very rich and he becomes very affluent, and he has all this money, but then he keeps it all for himself, and he doesn't take it and like feed the poor and the needy and clothe the naked, house the homeless, visit the imprisoned, so on and so forth. Like he just keeps his money, and that's all he does, and he loves his money and he worships his money. Same thing, right? You want all the bounty that the Lord has to provide for you, all the pleasure in life, but none of the responsibility of what's necessary to be a sonship of the Lord, right? A disciple of the Lord. This is the father and the son relationship. Well, anyway, so Then the son goes back, by the way, realizing this is a bad way to live your life. I'm falling into sin. I end up feeding the pigs, which is the lowest of the low. Goes back to his father, and his father's open arms, right? And so, and the son comes back, and they repair the relationship by getting the ring and have a party. Well, this tells you that the Lord's mercy is always. It's always there. All you have to do is ask for mercy. All you have to do is go back and say you're sorry to your father, and he will always be welcoming to you, no matter how far you stray out into the world, no matter how, what you do with the inheritance that he gave you, right? And so that relationship was reformed, is intact, and it's like all of us Christians in the world. We have sin in our hearts. We have sin, in our lives, and if we go back to the Lord and get rid of that sin and repair a right relationship with the Lord, He'll always welcome us back and have a party for us. Essentially, that's the younger son. Now, what does the older son do? The older son is kind of resentful and mad. Now, the question is, who's worse in this prodigal son analogy? Is it the younger son who spoils all the wealth and then comes back, or is it the older son who's loyal to his father but then gets mad when the younger son comes back? I would almost argue it's the older brother that has a bigger problem, is because he's saying, like, I did all this work for you, I was loyal, I never got the fatted calf, what the heck? Meaning that the older son believes he's earning the mercy of the Lord, right? He's actually going out and doing things to actually get the inheritance from the Lord. The inheritance from the Lord is for everybody. It's not just those who go out and are completely loyal no matter what. It's not just those who are just perfect human beings. It's for absolutely everybody. Even the sinners that have gone astray, even the ones that have gone out, wasted all the inheritance, and then when they come back to the Lord, He'll be there for them, right? And so that son, the son didn't do what was right. He thinks he earns the inheritance of the Lord, and then he doesn't want to share it with other people. So that's the problem with the older brother. Like, I get all this stuff from the Lord because I have this right relationship with the Lord. Now I'm not willing to share with those who are less fortunate, or have chosen a different pathway. And so the younger son and the older son, they're kind of analogies for having the wrong relationship with the Lord. The younger son wants hedonism, pleasure, and everything else without none of the responsibility for the Lord, for the sonship and his discipleship to the Lord. And the older son, he has the wrong relationship with the Lord as well. It's kind of this slave-master relationship, that the Lord's his master and he's just going to do as he's told just because he's the slave and he wants what's due to him at the end of the day. That's not the way it should be either. We should be discipleships of the Lord. Any of the inheritance that comes our way while serving the Lord is not ours either. It's ours to share with other people to make the world a better place. That's the prodigal son for you in my own personal opinion. And if you don't like my analysis of it, then type in the comments below. If you like it, you can type in the comments below. You can share with your friends. Anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe. Get the Mass and pray the daily rosary. God bless you all. Take care.